Hello, and welcome to a video in which I will discuss and demonstrate routing, post-production routing for a post-production mix, a 7.1.4 immersive post-production mix for hybrid mix techniques here at NESCOM. Students, you should have already watched the video that demonstrated setting up and getting sound to the speakers in Control-C, and you should have already watched the video where you set up the I/O and the master fader and print track over here on the left. In this video, I'm going to continue onward and do submixing. As I've discussed in earlier assignments, it's really important in a post-production mix to set up some sort of submixing scheme. You end up with a lot of tracks. This particular project does not have a tremendous amount of tracks, but you can end up with hundreds of tracks in a large-scale post-production mix, and to be able to submix them and collapse them into folders and that sort of stuff really can make your workflow far more efficient. So we're going to do that in this video. So essentially you're going to create 4 master faders, and they're going to be folder tracks or routing folder tracks, where the dialogue ends up in its own master fader, the sound effects end up at their own, the ambience ends up in their own, and the music ends up with their own. So let me go through this process. We'll start with the dialogue. We've got this one single dialogue track here. So technically with this mix, you probably don't need a master fader, but I'm going to demonstrate the process anyway. What we're going to do is make right next to it, so I'm going to click to the left of it, and I'm going to say Command-Shift-N, and I'm going to make a new 7.1.4 routing folder, and you can name it for what it's going to be. This particular case, it's going to be dialogue, so DX is an abbreviation often used by post engineers. And this DX here, we want to send Atras, the dialogue, the VO here, to this folder. So you'll notice that this DX master fader is automatically sending itself to the mix bus, which you have next to it, and that's important. I already set that up to happen by default in the I/O video that you should have just watched. And with the case of the VO, we need to route it to the DX. So I'm going to route it to the DX master fader, and I'm going to take it and drag it onto the DX, and you can see that yellow box around it. That puts it in its folder. So now I could open and close the folder and anything that's in it. Let's colorize that folder. I like this kind of purple pinkle color here, these two here. And if I double click there, I'll bring up the colors and we can make them both pink. And so now all the dialogue would be pink if we had multiple dialogue channels. So I'll hide the dialogue now. The yellow is all our sound effects. So I'll repeat that process I just did for the DX. We're going to make Command-Shift-N. Going to make a new 7.1.4 routing folder. In this case, it's going to be sound effects, so FX will work just fine. And we've created another one, and it's another master, and it has created its own input bus, FX. So we can take all of these guys. I'm holding Shift down and selecting all of them right there. And I'm going to do to selected. So I'm holding down Option and Shift with my left hand and routing here to the FX bus. And they will all go in one movement if you do that do to selected. And then, of course, these all need to be in the effects folder. So I'm going to drag them like so, let go. And I can colorize, make that entire folder. I don't know, yellow would work. So again, I'm going to select this guy and hit double click any of the colors here and grab that yellow. And now they're all going to be yellow. And so what's really convenient here, of course, is I can close the folder, which when you're working in the edit window is very useful to close folders. The next ones are going to be ambience, but I'm going to show a slightly different way of doing this, the more efficient, faster way of doing this. I'm going to hold Shift down, select all of the ambience, and I'm going to right click on one of them and do a move to new folder. And this creates the folder in one move here. Format 7.1.4. You want to make sure you have route tracks to new folder. It's going to be a routing folder, and we're going to call it ambience. And go. And it does the whole thing for you, which is really cool. It named the bus, it routed it to the bus, it does everything but colorize it, which we can do on our own. Boom, right there. Now all the ambience tracks are green, and I'll close those. And the music track, there's only one music track. Does it really need a master fader? Probably not. but just to repeat the process and learn the macro, learn the steps, select it, right-click, move to New Folder, New 7.1.4, Route Tracks to Folder, Routing Folder, and that is going to be MX for music, and it will do the whole thing for us, and then I will double-click on them and make them all red. So now we've got folders for all of the elements, and those folders all feed the master fader, which feeds the print track. So if I click over, I should probably hear something coming through, and I do. I can hear the music creeping through, and you can hear it going through the master fader, and I can hear it going through the print track. So that's the process, and I will continue on with some other videos showing panning and other fun stuff in Immersive, but that's the setup. Have a great day. Goodbye.